Good evening. Hello, everyone. Good evening and good morning, since people are joining across the world. So, soon we'll start with our new session, which is on CL commands and programs. Uh, First of all, I would like to introduce myself. I am Chandan Mahodi, and I've been with PIO for last 4 years, around 4 years, and I have total experience of around 7 years in IBM. So let's start with the today's session, which is on CL commands and programs. So before we start, let's have a look at the topics which we are going to cover today. Uh, so first of all, we have what is control language, which is CL, right, which we are going to discuss today, and why control language CL is important in AS400, and we'll uh, look into command lines and command entries. So we'll get start with those. We'll look into some basic CL commands we have, declaring files and variables in CL programs, right? And basic commands which are often used in CL programming, and few more commands, which would be uh, which we'll talk in the next session. So this session is basically to touch upon the basic commands that we come across in CL. So uh, let's start with the very first topic, which is what is control language or CL. So control language. So this is an integral part of OS 400, which is OS 400, as you might already know, the operating system of AS 400. So CL is a set of commands, uh, which is used, commands by user, which users control operations and request system related functions on the AS400. So basically, this is a set of command which you can use to interact or communicate with the operating system of AS400. Most AS400 commands were created by IBM developers to handle system level tasks such as compiling programs, backing up data, changing system configurations, displaying object details. So these are few of the tasks for which the CL commands were primarily created by IBM developers. Apart from this, these commands can be customized for user applications. So we can have those customized as per our need, as per our requirement. Now, CL command is usually made up of 3 character words, and up to 10 characters, right, can be merged to form the command. And this basically follows a combination of verb plus object. So whenever you come across a CL command, that will consist of a verb and an object. And as I mentioned, this is made up of 3 characters. So work, act, job, you can see, right? So basically, this uh, this says work with active job. So work, the first 3 characters representing the verb of the command, and the latter part is representing the object on which the action is going to be taken on. So we are going to work with active jobs using this command. So this command is not, there is no plus sign in between. It is just to uh, show you how the verb and object are merged together. So we take this command to work with our active jobs. Likewise, we have display system values, right? So display is again verb and system values are the object, right? And then we have edit library list. So with this command, we can edit the library list. So many of these commands you might have come across already, or some of. So we'll anyway go through those. And CL commands can be entered on command line or executed from within a program. So These are the commands which can be entered on the command line, or we can have those executed from within a program. So the program which we create using CL commands is nothing but a group of CL commands which can be executed to achieve certain tasks. So let's say there are a group of CL commands which we need to execute to perform a specific task. So let's say we are repeatedly executing those number of commands. So rather we can create a program, CL program, which executes those set of commands, right? And we can simply call that program rather than calling each command individually one by one repeatedly. So with the help of program, we can achieve that. Next, so next topic, subtopic of this is why control language is important. So why these CL commands are basically used or important in AS400. So one of the points which I just mentioned is automation. So we can have that the process automated using the CL commands, which in turn will provide you efficiency and it will provide you consistency as well. So you can automate the repetitive task, right, which will reduce the need for manual intervention and obviously minimize errors, right? If you are entering commands manually, there are chances there is a scope of errors, right? So with this, you can create an efficient process, and you can ensure the same set of commands or the tasks are performed same every time, right? So that will provide you consistency. So a few of the examples of this automation, which is provided by these CL commands, is automating the backup process, right? And we can automate the backup process of files or any other objects. So we can every at the end of the day we can always automate this backup process. So at the end of the each day it will just take the backup. Other example includes job scheduling, file transfers, and report generation. So all these processes we can automate through these CL commands. Coming to the next point, why CL is important, so which is system management. And there again, uh, these CL commands are very much useful, uh, since they provide us with powerful commands to manage system operations. We can play with we can manage the system related jobs, manage files, and handle messages. So many of these things you will come across in the later part of the sessions, which the series, right, session series we have. So these all points you will be covering in those sessions. So and also it provides us flexibility. We can uh, it allows customization of system operations to meet specific business needs. So these CL commands you can manage system as per your own need or requirement. So you can customize uh, the task with these commands. And the examples include system monitoring, user profile management, right? So you can monitor the system related activities using these commands. You can work with user profiles, the user which we have in S400 system, right? And related accesses and all those stuff you can handle with this CL commands. And coming to the next point, why CL is important is integration. So this is one of the this is one of the important points why we use CL in S400. So this can be used to integrate different parts of the system, right? We can invoke system functions from command line, right? And various operations are performed on members using CL commands, right? So as the first point says, the system function. So there are various operations, as I already mentioned that we can interact, communicate with the system. So those commands we can, those functions we can perform using the CL. And using CL commands, we can compile, rename, or save, the members or the objects using CL commands. So few of these you might have already performed or you might have seen in the previous sessions. And it can be coded and compiled into programs. you know we can call RPG, COBOL. And also the CL programs can be called from these programs, RPG and COBOL. So this is, both way you can call, and it can be called from these programs. And another point is executing SQL statements. So we can have, we you already know about the SQL statements, right? So we can execute those through CL using this run SQL command. So this is one of the commands which we use to execute SQL statements. And the last point is, in integration, is we can communicate between different jobs, right? So there are various ways with which we can communicate between different jobs, and in which the CL commands are very useful to communicate. So these are the few of the points, and why the control language is important. Now we'll start with the CL and command entry. So there are few quick tips related to CL commands, right? Which which may come uh, handy, or which you will find useful in your day-to-day task while working in AS400 or IBM. So the very first one is command initials plus asterisk. So whenever, let me get to the green screen. Uh, so it says whenever you enter a command initials plus asterisk, it will list all the commands starting with the entered initials, right? So let's say, as I mentioned, the verb, you want to work with something, and you add a star after this. So it will list all the commands which starts with work, star. So work active job, work with alerts, and all those commands are listed with this simple um, technique. So this is basically a command line where I just entered, just to let you know. So this is the very main screen of the is IBMI, and this is where it says, we enter the commands. It also says selection or command. So this is the command line where we enter the commands, right? Now, F1 function key to get help on any command, right? So let's say any command you entered, right? And this is the work active job, as I mentioned. So this is one of the commands to work with active jobs. So you want to know about this command. So what you can do, you can place your cursor right underneath the description of the command, right over here. And if you press F1, it will get you the help screen where you can about read out about the command and its description and all the stuff which is needed for the command. So I pressed F12 and I'm coming to the main screen again. So this is one of the one of the tips. Again, you can use F1 function key to get help on any command. And let's say I'm entering another command, walk job, right? So it says F4 function key you can use to prompt to understand the parameters. So let's see what it is. So I am entering another command, work job, and sorry, work obj, work with object. And if I press F4, I'll get to the prompt screen, right? So over here, again, if you press F1, you'll get to the help screen. And over here, you have all these parameters which you need to enter, right? You want to work with objects, what type of objects, and all those stuff. So you want to know what you should be entering over here. So for this, you can, press F4 again. I pressed F4 and it showed me, you can enter a name or generic, a generic asterisk. So Again, it can start with something your initials of the object, and you can add a asterisk after this, and you need to enter the library. And there are various ways with which you can put the library. It could be the library name itself, or the star library, so it will pick it from the library list, and the current library. So all these options you can put in here, and the object type again. So if you want to filter out, you can put the specific object type. So let's say it is a file or whatever it is. And if you don't know, you can just simply put all, and it will list everything related to it. So I'll just put enter, and it displayed everything, right? All the types and everything which start with emp p. So using that command, or that, we can do this. And next one is F11 function key, right? So if I enter work obj again, and if I press F11, right? I pressed F11, so it showed this. This is just to what you are entering. So this is needed whenever you are entering manually and not taking the prompt. So you can use this. You can use work obj. Within obj you can write the object name. Within obj type you can write what type of object you would like to work with. So these keywords you can use that time when you want to simply enter the command without using prompt, or so using F11 you can check that, those keywords. Now coming to call QCMD. So I'll show you. So call QCMD. So basically, when I call this QCMD program, so this is basically, IBM I supplied. So when we call that, we, get to the command entry screen. And over here, you can see all the previous commands or the messages, right? So if I press F10, as you can see over here, right, you can see the detailed messages. So if I press F10, so all these are the previous commands and the messages which we just now entered, right? And let's say if you would like to re-enter the command which was recently entered, so if you press F9, it will retrieve that command. So it says to retrieve that, right? So it retrieved the last command which I entered. If you press F9 again, it will retrieve the command which was entered last to last. So likewise, it goes on. So you can use these functions keys uh, accordingly, right? And over here we have another function key which is to display full. So if I press F11, it displayed the all, there are many lines over the screen, right? So if your command is somehow too big, so you can simply enter over here by increasing the lines and by pressing that key, F11. So, and again, if you want to display partial, it showed the same. So if you press F11 again, it will show you the partial screen, partial lines for the command to be entered. So these are few of the important function keys which you will be using, or which will be helpful for you. So all these I have mentioned over here. F4 to prompt the command, to retrieve the last command, to include or exclude the detail messages, and to display or full or partial. So now coming back to the basic CL commands which we use in our day-to-day activities in IBMI. So few of these you might have already come across in your previous sessions, like display FD, display FFD, and all, display DBR, work spool file. So I'll just give you a quick overview again, right? Just a quick recap of those. And there are other commands which are often used in our IBMI, right? So which will be again helpful for you. So we'll go through all of these. So let's start with the display FD. So this command, you already know how this command is used in one of your previous sessions. Um, uh, you were told how this command can be used, to display the attributes of one or more database files or device files. So this shows you the file type, record format, and the field descriptions. So this is what this display FD is for. Display FD stands for file description, right? Again, display FFD, display file field description. So this is useful for more, for field level details. So you'll get to see the field names, the type of the field, what is the data type, the length, and the test description again. And that you can, enter, simply display FFD file and your file name. So this you already know again. So just a quick, uh, you know, uh, overview of the commands. And then display DBR. So this command is basically used, to see the dependents of your file, right? Again, so if I enter display DBR and enter the file name over here, you'll get to see. So since this currently I don't have any, but you might already know this. So we have this command to check all the logical related or the dependent files for the physical file. Next is work spool file, which you already know how you can use this command to work with spool files, right? Whenever there is you are compiling the programs, or whenever there is some messages, you can, there is some output file, so you can check those using the work spool file command, right? And you'll get to see all the spool files. So just a quick overview again. So this is where you will get to see all the spool files. uh, Next is create library. So this is create libraries to create a library, as the name suggests, right? So as I told you already, the commands with after reading the command, you can easily, you know, guess what that command does basically. So create library is basically to create a new library, and delete library is to delete the library. And library is again where all of your sources, objects, everything will reside. So you will have to be very careful before running any delete command. So be it, it's not just for deleting library or delete library command. It is for all the delete commands which we have in IBMI, or any delete, not just command delete queries. So everything you should be very careful before executing those. So using create library, you can again create libraries. So this you would already know how we can do it, right? And delete library, and then the change current library. So change current library you can use to change the current library, right? Where it will point, the your programs or whatever command you are taking. So it will point directly to that library, your current library, and it will uh, check for the object, in that library first, and all the libraries, will be checked later. So this is the you can set your current library using change current library, and you can give the library name, or you can give press F4 just again for prompt, and you can mention your library over here. So mine is Chandan M. So if I press enter, it will, so it showed current library change to Chandan M. So likewise you can change. And next, edit library list entry. This you might already know how we can add the library list. And then another alternative to add library list is edtlibl. So if you already don't know this, so this is how you can do it. You can enter your library, in the list, in the sequence, whichever you would prefer, or it is required, and display libl or display lib. So both these commands are used to display the library list again. Libl will display the library list, and again the same command without l will display the libraries. So these commands you can use with libraries. Next, coming to the copy file command, right? So this command is basically used to copy. this copies data from one file to another, either within the database or to from an external device. It can copy all or part of the file. So this command is used a lot of times uh, in day-to-day activities in IBMI you may be using. So this is basically to copy data from one file to another, right? So maybe you're testing something from some important library to your own development library, right? So in that, it comes handy. I pressed F4 and it showed all the possible options, right? So all the options which you uh, you know can see. I mean, you can enter. So from which file you would like to copy the data from. So I just entered EMPPF. And if you don't enter any library name, again, as I mentioned earlier, it will pick it from the library list. If you mention star libl, and if you mention current library, it will pick it anyway from there, right? Or you can mention the library name. So for now, I'll just enter the library name. Next is to file, right? So to which file you would like to copy the data to, and the library name for the same, and to which member of the first file. From So this from member belongs to this file, and this member belongs to this file again. So from first member to first member, we are going to copy the data. And then next option we have, right, we have is to replace or add records. So there are two options with which you can add data from one copy data from one file to the another. Either you can add the records into the file, into the two file, or you can replace the records in that file completely, right? Sort of overwrite the file, the two file, right? So in this case, we you have all these options: add, replace, right? So let's just say I would like to add the records, or let's just say I would like to replace the records, right? And then again, if you would like to create, if it is not existing already, so that you can specify, right? And if I press F10, uh, it showed other options. So mostly we don't use all of the options, right? But still, I would like to walk you through few of those. So copy from records. So over here you can see um, from which record you would like to copy the data from, either start, or you have other options. If I press F4, so you can just give one number from which you would like to copy it from, and to copy to record number again, right? Till from where to where you would like to copy it. And there are other options, like one of the important options is number of records to copy, how many number you would like to copy, right? And this is option include records by care test. So this is basically to filter out the records. So over here you can um, mention the field name, the position. So let's say you have a field, let's say cust ID, for example, or let's say employee ID, since we have this. So employee ID, and starts with first position, and we would like to filter or copy only those which starts with one, right? So it will only include those, right, uh, for which the employee ID character position one is value is one. So if I and so this column is, or this block is used for that purpose. And again, we have other options. So I'll just yeah. So there, over here we have one option to record format field mapping. So in case sometimes what happens, we usually use this command copy file to copy data from one file to another, provided we have the same record format or the same set of fields in both the files, right? But there are times when you might not have the same set of fields in both the files from and to. So let's just say I'll quickly show you maybe. So I have two files, right? So I have two files. One is M- EMPPF1. So here I have three fields: ID, name, and department. And I have another file. Sorry, another file EMPPF2. So I have only two fields in this file, right? So while copying data from one, you will have to first of all make sure if you are entering copying data from one file to another, it is of same record format. And if it is not, then you'll have to come to this option, record format field mapping, right? So over here we have multiple options, right? I'll just give you a quick overview. So again, you can drop the fields which are not matching, right? And you can mention no check, right? So that it won't check, and simply it won't check the record format or the field level details, and it simply copy whatever comes first. So on that basis, it just does it. So for now, I'll just enter this. So maybe I'll remove because there are, yeah. So with this command, I copied from employee EMPPF to EMPPF1. So four records were copied from this to this. So we can check. I'll come to this command, which I'm entering currently. So just to show you. So the records are copied, right? Yeah. So this is how we can use this copy file command. And next is create dupe object. So as the name says create dupe object. So this command is used to create a duplicate object. So from the object you are providing. So if I enter create dupe obj, press F4, you'll get to this screen where it says from object, from library, object type again, and to which library you would like to copy, create duplicate object, and the new object. And so if I enter this, right, I'll show you. Let's say EMPPF again. This is the object again from this library. And in here we have multiple, object types. So since R is a file, so we'll select file, asterisk file, right? And to which library. So by default, there are few values you can see, right? Star from library, star obj. So if you don't enter anything, this it will try to create the duplicate object in the same, whatever default values are there. So from library is nothing but the same library from which you are trying to create the object. Star obj will create the new object with the same name, right? So this is what it did. So let's say I would like to create with a different name, a different object, EMPPF3. And if you would like to duplicate the data, as in you would like to copy the data from this to another object which you are creating, so you can mention yes. And if you simply want the object but no data, you can mention star no. And there are few other options: constraints, triggers, file identifiers. So these you can copy into the new object as well. So based on your requirement, you can select the appropriate option, right? So if I press, if let's just say I would like to duplicate data in the new object, if I press enter, right? So one object duplicated. So this EMPPF3 is created. I'll use strSQL. This is the command which we can run the queries. So it is copied, right? This object is created, and I can see the record is already also copied into the new object. So this is how we can use create dupe object. Then we have this command called upddta, right? Upddta. So again, UPDDTA, I think you might already know. If not, I'll just give you a quick overview again. So UPDDTA is basically to update the data in the data file, right? So you can mention the data file which you would like to update and the library again if you and the member. So for now, over here we have different options, right? So the currently it is open in change mode. Change mode is basically if you would like to update, any record. So users can update the data through this option. Let's say for this ID, I would like to change something. So I'll enter 123456. This is the employee ID, and I would like to change something. Maybe I would like to add a, a surname, right? Add P, and if I press enter, it will be updated. So if I again check this 123456 for the same ID, that will be updated, right? And we have different options, right? You can create a new entry, uh, or you can do multiple things. You can do press F5 to refresh, F9 to insert. So if I press F9, you can add a new record, right? So likewise, you can use this UPDDTA, to uh, update the data or insert the data, right? As per your requirement. So one by one, you can add records into this. And at the if you press F3 or F12, it will get to this screen that you would like to end the data entry, and it will show you how many records were changed or added or deleted. And it says end data entry. If you press enter, it will come out and it will change, right? So I'll press F3 again. So this is how you can use this UPDDTA command. And the one which I've been using frequently is strSQL. So this is to start the SQL interactive session where you can enter all your SQL queries, SQL statements. So which you already have seen, multiple times. I'm doing it. So with this, you can enter any query. You can do select or update or insert or delete, right? All those queries you can. And again, if you press F9 over here, you'll get to the last query which you entered. And if you place your cursor on some query again, if you press F9, it will again get you to the same query. And there are multiple options you can see, right? Let's say you would like to, there is a command id and ppf, and there is another command where order by some, let's say, field name. And so there are multiple options. You can insert line. So let's say after this I would like to insert a line. So if I press F6, as you can see, so you can insert line. If you would like to copy a line, you can press F10, right? Let's say I would like to copy this. So it copied this, the line. And there is on num keypad, if there is a if you have the num keypad, so if you press plus, it will simply clear the statement. So this is one of the things which you should know. And there are many more keys which you can see, and you can press F4 again to prompt, and you'll get to the screen, right, where you can enter manually, the from file, select the fields. And if you on select the fields, if you press F4 again, you will get to this screen where you can select whichever field you would like to see in which sequence. So let's just say two. This is the sequence I'm entering, one, one. So first, last two should come first, and this will come at the end because the sequence is, at the end. So likewise, you can enter, select the fields, where condition, you can put the where condition, emp id should not be 0. So this is the query, I mean, not equal to or equal to, you can use simply group by. So all these SQL queries you can use. And if I press enter, it will get me the results, right? So again, I'm pressing F12, and I'll pressing F12 again, and it is asking to exit the interactive SQL, and you can save and exit the session, right? So this will, what it will do, it will basically save your, statements which you have currently, which you ran recently or you can exit without saving the session. So it won't save your statements on all those stuff which you entered in that session. So for now, I'll just save and exit. So I pressed enter and it came back to the main screen. Right. Now, next is strpdm. And strpdm is basically to start programming development manager, right? So this is pdm. Programming development manager is nothing but a tool set, right, with which you can uh, uh, perform various, it provides you various utilities for managing and developing programs. So related to development, for developers, basically these options are used. So uh, if I enter strpdm, I'll get to the screen where I can work with libraries, I can work with objects, I can work with members, I can work with user defined options. So based on your need, you can enter. If you press option one, and it will ask you which library, and if you press enter, it will list all the libraries. And if you'd like to work with some of the libraries, let's just say this library I would like to work with, so you can give 12. So it displayed all the members, all the objects which are available within the library. So you can work accordingly. You can select your options, 4, 5, 7, whatever option you would like to take. So just one thing which I would like to show you is, there's three option. If you would like to copy the object, so let's just say I'll take option 3 and I press F4. So you can see it showed me the same command, right? It is using the same command. So this is how it is integrated. I mean, you can either call this command from outside, or you can, work with members or objects. And if you try to copy using this way, it will again eventually call the same command, right, to copy the objects. So this is how you can use it. And we have multiple options over here, more keys which you can, look. Based on your need, you can, use these options and keys. So you can change the objects, you can copy, you can delete, display, right? You can display, you can work with all these. So next option is work with objects. So that will again, sorry, I pressed enter twice. So it asked for which library and what objects. You can specify the name, the type, or you can just specify star all. So within the library, all the objects which are there, you'll get to see. So same thing we got to see from work with libraries. When we selected the library, then we got to the objects. And third option is work with members, right? So over here, it will ask for the source physical file, which where your sources are, available. So it, currently I have my sources in QDC, DDSSRC library this. And if you enter, star all for name and type, you'll get to, all the members within that source physical file. So this is work with members using PDM, right? And there is another option, work with user defined options. So if you press enter, you'll get to see all the options which you can take, to directly execute these commands. So one of those I would like to mention is, if you press EL on, like, let's just say you are doing something, or if you press EL over here, you'll get to this screen, edit library list. So this is how that those options work, right? And as I showed you how we can work with strpdm, how we can work with libraries, objects, and members. And we have again, other direct commands with which we can, directly call those options. So one of those is work member pdm, right? Work member pdm. So this will get you to the same option number 2, where you were working with members using pdm, right, which we just now saw over here. So I'm opening another session, strpdm. So work with members. So over here, this is the option 3, and this will get you the same screen if you enter work member pdm. So this is the most often command, which we use, most used command. And another one is work obj PDM. So work with object PDM. So basically PDM, again, as I mentioned, is more basically for the development purpose. So if I enter, sorry, it will list out all the objects with which you can work, right? And you have different options to work again. So this PDM, this way you can use these options, these commands. And again, there's work object, right? So work object is command basically show you the list of the objects, right? Or if you have any object in your library, you can work with that. So if I enter work obj, if I enter the file name or the object name, or generic, if you enter, so this I showed you earlier, I think. And if I enter the library, or if I don't, it will pick it from the library list again. If I press enter, it will list out all the objects in the library list, all the libraries which we have, and if there's the same object available in all those libraries, so it will display all those. And you can copy again, delete, display authority, rename. So for with 7, you option 7, you can rename as well. So if I press 7, enter, it will get me to this screen. It will show which name you would like this to be, and you can see what command it is using to execute this task. So rename object. So if I copy this, you can directly, you don't need to do this way, you can run this command, and you can simply give your object name and the new object name. So directly you can see how the commands are integrated within those within IBMI, right? And then the command is display job log. So display job log is basically to check the logs for your job which is currently running. So this is display job log, whatever actions you have been taking so far. So all those will be displayed over here. And you have option F10 again to display the detailed messages. So this is just showing you the commands you entered. But if you want to see what went underneath, you can press F10 to see the detail. So this is the detailed one. If I press F10 again, sorry, yeah. So it shows the detailed messages, right, by pressing F10. So this is how you can use the display job log. And we have send messages, send break messages. So these commands you can use to send messages to some message queues or to some users, right? So each user will be assigned with each job is assigned with a message queue. So you can send the messages to those messages queue. So this is a test message. So let's just say I would like to send it to this. So this is the message queue for another session. So you'll get to learn about these later on, but just for reference, I'm showing you. So if I enter this, uh, so this is the session where I entered this command, right? If I go to this session, this is the another session where I sent it. So if I do display message, so you can see this is a test message which I sent from previous session, the other session which I am having. So using these commands, you can do this. And there's the send break message. So break message is basically when you send this break message. So it basically interrupts the user and displays the message. So when I sent it using send message, it didn't. I had to enter display message to view the message. But if I do the same using send break message, what it will do, no matter what you are doing currently, let's just say you are working with some program, and if I use send break message instead of send message, what it'll do, it will interrupt and it will display. So in the second session, I was working on something, but after someone sent a break message, it popped up on my screen. So this is just for information you can use, I mean, whenever you would like to inform something important to users, so this break message is used. Now we'll come to the file declaration part, right, or the programming part. So yeah, so how we can declare a file. So before that, I would like to show you how we can create a, so you can use work member PDM. And let's just say you would like to create a CL program. So I'm having my source physical file for CL programs. So I'll press F6 and I can enter the name of the CL. So let's just say my new CL and the source type. So with the latest operating system we have, so we put CLLE for CL commands. If I press enter, we'll get to the screen where we can start with our CL programs. So before proceeding with the programs, we can have PGM at the beginning and end PGM at the end, right? And within these PGM and end PGM, we can write our CL programs. So if I press enter, right? So now, so these PGM and NPGM, these are just optional. You don't need to specify these until you are willing to use parameters in your program, right? So if you have parameters in your program, then you'll have to definitely use it. If not, then these are optional. So let's just say you have parameters. So what you will do, you would like to specify the parameters, right? So you can do that by either pressing F4. If you press F4, after entering the keyword, it will get you to the prompt screen where you can see what you will have to enter. So it is asking for parameters CL variable names. So you would have to give a variable name, the parameter which you are passing. So let's just say palm1. So in CL there is one thing, all the variables which you are using are always preceded with ampersand. So all the variables which you use will be prefixed with ampersand. So if I press enter, it automatically aligned it. So initially it was not aligned, but now it is aligned if when after I press in F4. Again, if I press F4 for end PGM, it will align this again. And it came to this. If I press enter after prompt, it aligned it, right? So the indentation, it corrected the indentation automatically. So file declaration, how we do it is basically when a file is declared, the CL compiler automatically creates variable for each field in the file, which can then be used in the program, right? So when a file is declared, all the respective fields will be automatically created as variables, right? And preceded by again ampersand, as I mentioned, since all the variables, sorry, all the variables will be preceded with prefixed with an ampersand. And we can use DCLF command to declare a file and RCVF to read the file. So I'll just use DCLF, right? Any place. And if I press F4, it shows me all the fields for the places where I can so this is where I need to enter the file name, the library name, right? If you have record format name, different record formats, so you can enter. So I'll enter EMPPF, and if you don't mention any library, it will again take it from library the list as per the library list. So this is how you can create declare a file. Now if you in on this SU line, if you press save, enter save, and press, it will save your source. If you press file and enter, it will save and come out. Now this is how we can declare. Next is a variable declaration. So how we can declare a variable, so using DCL command. So earlier we declared the file using DCLF, we can declare the variable using DCL alone. So if I show you, so I have one program, right? So don't need to bother about everything, just this part. So this is where I declared the file, and this is where I defined my variable. So if I pressed DCL, so I'll just show you what I did. I press DCL and I press F4, right? After pressing F4, it again, there is a place called label. This I'll tell you in at the later part. So this is CL variable name, where you can enter the variable name. Let's just say new variable. What type? So there are multiple types. We have decimal, character, logical, and integer. So these data types you already might know. So based on your need, you can define. So let's just say I'll take character for now, and I press enter. It will ask for the length and the decimal position. So since this is a character data type, I don't need to put decimal position, but length I should. So I'll put 10, and it again it asks for initial. I pressed enter and it showed the next lines initial value. So this is nothing but the initialization of the variable. So if you would like to initialize your variable, you can. So I'll just initialize with some value. So after press entering that, this is what it became. So automatically it declared and repositioned or realigned it, properly aligned it. So likewise, I defined these variables also, right? So this is how you can declare a variable and file. Now the commands which we can use in CL program, right, are change variable. Um, so this I'll show you. So change variable, receive file, all these commands will go through. So change variable is basically to change the value of the variable. So if you just focus on this statement for now. So this is the change variable command, uh, with which what I did, I changed the value of this variable to this value, right? So this is the variable which I defined over here as a decimal, right? Length 3 and value 0. So what I'm trying to do over here is I'm trying to change the value of that by adding one more to it. So it will change, right? So this is, if you press change where, it will simply and you need to press F4, right? You will add the variable name and the new value. So it will, just display, and it will change. And also we have, you know, uh, I'll just, at the end, I'll just, run the program in debug mode just to show you how it is working. For now, I'll just quickly go through the commands which are used. Then RCVF is basically used, to read the file. So RCVF, what it does, the file which you declared can be read by using this RCF command. So once you run this, execute this statement, the file will be read once, right? And if you reach the end of file, so basically this is a way to monitor the errors. So let's just say the end of file is reached. I'm just trying to monitor that and doing some stuff. So this I can tell you at the end again. So this is RCVF I can use to read the file, right? And if there are multiple files defined in the program, what we need to do is, uh, I'll show you in another program. So where I have two files defined. So we need to define the open ID, right? So this is nothing but the open identifier. So in order to use multiple files or declare multiple files, we'll have to use the open ID, right? And those open IDs can further be used to read the file specifically. So earlier, when there was only one file, I didn't use this, but there are multiple files, right? EMPPF and EMPPF1. So which file I would like to read? So RCVF, OpenID, and the ID name, OpenID name. So that I can specify over here. So like using which you can specify which file you would like to read. Now we have these commands: create PF, delete PF, clear PFM. So these commands you can easily run, and this is to create a physical file, delete file, clear PFM is basically to clear the file, right? If there are any records in the file, so you can uh, clear those, right? So I have, I think, in here. So yeah, I don't have those commands, but I can. So these commands you can use, right? So now Run SQL is again one of the commands with which you can run SQL queries within your program. So let me check if I'm not this one. Yeah. So you can see, right. So I have this run SQL command over here. Uh, so if I press F4, I'll show you what I did. I entered run SQL, and if I press F4, so here the these lines you can enter your SQL query. So you need to make sure that it should be within the single quote, and if there is any value you are assigning or using, so that should be within double quotes. And if you press enter, it will come to this. And there is one option, commit none. So for now, just use this commit none. In the later sessions, you might get to know about this option more. Next, we have send PGM message and send user message. So these are the similar options which we have earlier seen for the command line, send message and send break message. So likewise, we have send PGM message and send user message. So these options you can use, to send messages from one program to another, or within a program to different, queues. Um, and this is send user message is basically designed specifically to send message to users, and this is more of to queues. So this you can use these commands. And now we have retrieve commands. So we have a lot of retrieve commands in our system: retrieve system value, retrieve object, job attributes. So these options you can use, these commands you can use to retrieve the system values like date, time, month, year, date, century, and all other stuff. So if you enter retrieve system val, and this is the value which you would like to retrieve. So I have this option, I believe. If not, I'll show you. Um, so let's just say I'll enter over here RTV sys well. If I press F4, so which system value you would like to retrieve or you would like to work with. So there are multiple options, all prefixed with Q. So this is just to signify, you are working with system values. So you can work with, I mean, you can fetch the year, the time, the date, all those things. So if I queue time, you can enter, and you can store that value in some value, some variable. So for now, let me say time, right? So this is the value I would like to store it in. So you can see this time will be now stored in this variable time. And then this I can further use in the variable, in the program, right? So for now, I'm deleting this. Likewise, you have job attribute. You can get the job attributes. Job attribute. So for now, there are multiple things related to jobs, multiple attributes related to job, so which you can use. So for now, I'll just tell you about this job type. So this job type, basically, when you don't enter any job name, it fetches for the current job. But if you specify any job name, it will fetch the data for that particular job. But if you don't specify, it will get you fetch the data for the current job. And this is the type we would like to fetch. So what is this job type? So job type is basically either 0 or 1. So interactive or batch job. uh, if you would like to identify which type of job it is, so in that case this job type is used. So if it is 0, it is a batch job, and if it is 1, then it is a interactive job. Again, you can, if you would like to search more, right, you can press F4, you can press F1. So F1, by pressing F1, you'll get to this help screen where it will show you what type of job it is and what are the outputs, possible outputs, and what it means, right? So accordingly, you can use those. And again, at the end, we have mon message, right? So mon message, which I might have shown you. So this will again be there in the further sessions you will be using. So this is basically whenever you run any command in program and there is some sort of error with the command. So using these mon messages, you can you know monitor those messages and prevent the program from crashing basically, right? You can, whenever there is an error, you can ask the program to do something like over here, right? So this is another command, check object. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to check the object availability of this object. This is the file type, object type, and the first member. So let's say somehow this object is deleted or something happened with this object, right? Because of which there is an error in this command. So if what it will do, the immediate mon message command will monitor the error, and if that error is specific to this message ID, so this ID is basically if object is not found, CPF 9801. So what it will do, if we found this message ID, this type of error message, it will execute this. It will, what it will do, it will go to the command label. So it will go to this command. So if I press F4, I'll show you what it is happening. So if it found this message ID, it is asking it to go to this command label. So we can assign each line or any line with a command label. So this is what it says. I mean, how we can so this is asking to go to the command label error. So where it is at the end. So over here I have this. So if there is a message encountered, sorry, error encountered, so it will ask the program to go to this command label. So it will come to this error label and it will say, I have written one command to send message to user. There is some error. Please check the program. So with this, I can, with like this, we can use the mon message command. And there are few more commands which will be used in the further sessions. Those will be related to data area. So how we can create data area, display data area, change data area, and related to file handling, database management, like how we can override database file, open query file. So these are few of the commands which will be needed, which are used to handle the data right within a file. You can filter the data, you can provide some temporary access path. So these all commands you will get to see in the next sessions, and related to jobs like display jobs, work job, submit job, and work active job. So all these commands you will get to learn in the later part or in the next upcoming sessions. So for now, I would like to just show you one program in debug mode, right? So let's just say this one. Or this one. So I have this program. You might already know how we can debug strdbg. So I have already some program in debug mode. So I'll end the debug and I'll mention the program name in my library. So this is the CL program I'm trying to debug. So if I press F10 step by step, sorry, I need to call. I'll call the program. And so I'm trying to retrieve the job attribute. And you can see the job type is one. So since this is taking the job type of the current job, which is the interactive one, my current job, so this is interactive. So, I called it through interactive session. So this is the interactive job. That's why uh, the type is one. You can see the value by pressing F11. I hope you already know this. So if you place your cursor under the variable name, if you press F11, you will get to see the value in debug mode. So it showed one, that is interactive. So if had it been zero, which is bad job, the instruction was to go to the command level error, right? At the end, which I mentioned earlier. Next command is add library list, right? Entry. So I'm trying to add this, let's say. So there are other options also. So if there was any error, let's say the library was already added somehow in the list. So there would have been some error, but it would have been skipped because of the message ID I have used. So there are various message IDs which will come across later part. So And now over here, I'm checking the object availability using check object, right? And again, that is followed by the mon message, right? Now this with the receive file, what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to read the file which I have defined in the very beginning, which is file cust. So there is a customer file which I'm trying to read. And if there is any error, let's just say the end of file is reached, what it will do, it will go to end, command label end. So end is where it is here. And at the end command label, I have this command send user message, the end of file is reached. So it will show that the end of the file is reached if there is it encounters with this message ID after receive file. So let's just see if it happened or not. It didn't. So it didn't. The file has data. The end of file is not reached. So it went. It didn't execute this command, right? So now we are trying to change the variable value. So currently, if you check see the value by pressing F11 under the variable one, you see there is no value. If I press F10 again, step by step, it executed this command. And what I am trying to do here is I'm trying to assign value to variable one. So this is the file field customer number, and this is the way we can concatenate. This is one of the ways we can concatenate. So I'm concatenating it with space and then the name, right? And then spaces. So like this. So if I see the value of variable now, because I executed that statement, so it is how this is how it is showing. So the very first record is read, and the customer number spaces, the customer name spaces. It changed the value of variable to that. Now we have the send user message, right? And we have these options. So in send user message, we have one option to message reply where you can send the message, and with message reply, if you specify some variable, it will get the values. So you can enter yes or no, right? So you're specifying what options you would like to return or you would like to enter for this variable for this reply. So if I press F10 again, I got to this screen. I got this message. Do you want to continue? I'll press yes. And if the reply is yes, I'll again check the value. So it is yes. If yes, then do. So again, if I'll press F10. So if it is satisfied, it is again, sending some message, right? Which is, for now, we can ignore it and continue. And we can go to the command level read, right? So where it is going to back to the read. So in here we don't have any looping concept as such. So this is how we can read the file in CL programs, right? We can use go tos and this mon message. So whenever the end of file is reached, it will come out. You can ask it to go to the end of the program, and if not, uh, you can again ask it to go to the same read command, command label. So this way we can define and use and read file in CL program. So this was a quick demo of that. So now I think I'm done from my end for the basic command in CL and CL programming. So if you guys have any questions, please you may ask. Yes. So this is the the file which you are using. So first question is, while debugging, why do we need to set yes on the production file update and option below to yes? So if you sorry, so without, if you don't enter or you don't set those values, right? So what it does, it won't update the any operation you are trying to update on the files which you are using in the debug mode. So this option is basically used for that. So if you don't specify, right, uh, if you don't specify yes, right, it won't update the production level, the files. So also you can see over here, right, specifies whether or not the database file in a production library can be opened up for updating records. So without this, you cannot, have it open for updating records or adding new records while in job is in debug mode. How many physical file we can declare in CLA? Yeah, I think the count I'm exactly not sure of now, but there is a limit. I think you can check that on internet, but there is a limit. But usually, in RPGLEs we do these operations, right, declaring files and stuff, using the files, and for overriding and over database file and all those stuffs, we use, or for the checking the objects we use CLLE programs. What is the equivalent of F4 when edit a program? So what is the equivalent of F4 when edit a. So I think in Visual Studio Code, we don't have, as far as I know, there is no prompt, or maybe there is one. So that I haven't tried yet. So for CL programs, but that we can see. Uh, okay. So next is, can we declare a logical file in CL? I think we cannot. For that purpose, I think you can use a PF and the commands which I mentioned, open query file, that you can use to provide temporary access path. So that will again be used in the further programs. Shall we give any ID as open ID? Yeah, I mean that's just a name. So we can assign any ID name to that, and that should be used while reading the file, receive file, and other stuff while closing the file. Yeah. Any more questions from anyone? Okay, so these mon message concept will be taken up in the next session. But for now, I can tell you how you can check. So there is a way. If you do this command work message file, right, and you need to enter QCP, I think QCPF something. Just a minute. QCPF. Yeah, this one. QCPF message. And if you do 12, right, most of the messages you will get to see here, right. Also you can position to your specific these, and it will show the severity and the text description of that message ID. So all those you can see in this message file, QCPF message, using work message file. If you enter this file name, you'll get to see most of the message IDs. But later this will be handled in the later part, in the next session. Yeah, I think the this will be shared. I'm not sure the PPT will be shared, but I think this will be uploaded, the video. Uh, any other questions? Okay. Uh, if there is none, I think we can wrap it up. So thank you, everyone, and see you on the next session.